Today I bring you a treat. 1,000, 2,000 blinds, where the man who holds the maximum stakes lobbies on a daily basis, Laszlo Bujtas, takes on COHIBA, a mystery player willing to challenge some of the greats in my favorite game, Pot Limit Omaha. Joining me today in the booth and on the cam is Dirk Gerritse, who last year challenged himself to win $1 million with a 60k starting bankroll and ended up making 3 million instead. We chatted a little about life and other things, but you guys are surely here for the poker, so let's get to it. What's the highest stakes you've ever played, Dirk, by the way?
501k probably. No, I probably played higher on coin poker. That's the highest table I ever played. Probably 1k, 2k.
Okay, so we've got 4 cards. That's my favorite type of cards. I don't like 5, Dirk. I know that you enjoy them, but I don't
I
like it.
prefer 4, but 5's not bad.
So we got 2 boys. Pretty good hand here. And what are they playing? They're playing 50 BB. Okay, so we got a 37k pot, and I mean, there's just nothing really to talk about, is there? Isn't he just going to pot this in on this flop? Surely.
Yeah, probably pot, or maybe even smaller, but probably pot.
Pots it in, overalls, whatever. Gambling. I hope the hand histories aren't like this. Otherwise, it's not going to be too exciting.
It would be fun to see a crazy rolls open and call, but
he's got the joint. Nice hand, mate. So nothing too interesting there.
Ace Jack Jack 8. Maybe a hand you might consider 4-betting every now and then, but
triple. Yeah. Triple's always dicey from my memory.
Yeah, but it's also not super nice for calling, having the 3.
Does this absolutely shock you to see here? Overalls with the limp KK button.
Yeah, apparently.
Is this just a full shock? This is absolutely shocking from my perspective.
I'm guessing, but
I don't think he would have limped this hand rainbow. Like, I have absolutely no clue how he's managed to limp here. Maybe a misclick here for overalls. Is he going to limp raise? Surely. Okay. It does limp raise. It's a call. And then this is the flop that rolls off. No backdoor flush draw. Only a backdoor straight draw. Dirk, is this easy to go broke here? Do you think 66k, 37k pot, assuming COHIBA doesn't donk? He does donk, so that changes everything. But if he checked, do you just have to send this in, even though it's a very bad kings?
Yeah, you have to send it for sure. Yeah, but I mean the situation is where I think COHIBA will find a lot of hands that are less strong than kings, but just want to get a fold from overpair, and he ends up checking too many strong hands. Like he should donk some queen jacks as well here, or even some jacks. But I feel like people in general, and I don't want to say COHIBA does it because he's probably very balanced, but in general, people just jam their 9-10 jack or 9-10 queen here or whatever. King 10. 3,
yeah, against a good player, honestly, I'm a little bit scared with this dry as fuck KK. The one little hope we have is that backdoor straight draw.
Yeah,
but no gutty, no BDF. Like, we block his straight draws. This is a bad hand, you know. This sucks. Yeah, no, is it foldable though?
We need 38% equity here, so I think we will have 38 against this range.
It's tough, man. It's honestly it's tough. I mean, how deep do you have to be? Because this gets to be a fold at some point, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that far away from how deep they are now. Like, if he was 80k deep, would you say that that's a fold there?
That's where you start consider folding, I think. Yeah.
Maybe this is just a little too shallow. Anyway, he's not going to fold. So let's see if his decision was good. I would have folded. So let's see. I wouldn't have actually folded, but so he's just donking it in. He's got bottom deuce. Bottom deuce, respectable. With a backdoor. Nice. Oh, that's not a good turn for the man. And he loses, okay.
They read it once?
I guess so.
Oh, that's sick.
Either that or the replay. I mean, overalls always runs at once, though, doesn't he?
I'm also surprised that overalls is sitting short stacked in his hand. Feels like he's always playing deep stacked.
True. I mean, it could have been just after some other hand, because COHIBA is the one usually playing 40 BB in these games. Yeah, I don't know. I guess overalls doesn't use auto reload. Not a super interesting hand, but kind of something. Okay. All right, this is a nice one. Deeper SPR. Oh, the quad suit. Would you ever come out donking
Yeah, you
an
can just
ace-high
bet
board as the big blind
it's
checkback? It's a tricky one, but you know,
a bit
this
tricky, but I feel like you have. I mean, you're raising 38% or something there against the limp, 35 maybe. So you're losing the top end of your range, but also your opponent is definitely not able to rep super strong hands. I mean, if you have a balanced range, COHIBA is the only one with the aces here still. But yeah, you
do you
can
think
definitely.
overall should be looking just to play this hand pure aggro because of the 4 spade element and he does have a pair blocker? Or do you think this 9 has enough showdown versus the limping range that we could take like a different line?
It really helps having a lot of spades, but I would prefer to donk here with a hand without a pair. And then this exact hand, I would just check on.
Oh, so
It's
you
quite
wouldn't
quite a
raise
strong hand.
against a c-bet
Mhm.
here. You wouldn't raise this one against a c-bet.
I can see, but there you can raise, yeah.
Yeah, I
Maybe not
imagine that
full.
that's probably what we'll see, but
Mhm.
it's interesting to think about calling. I mean, the 9 has showdown. He does raise and get called. Okay. So he turns a pretty dreamy card, but the SPR is about 3. Slightly over 3. What do you think when you get into these spots, Dirk? Do you find some sort of weird sizing, or do you just say, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna pot call?
Yeah, probably pot calling.
Yeah.
I like
It's
it
easy
more.
to just not give a fuck and price yourself in.
Yeah. Just price myself in, and also check calling is like that doesn't seem too appealing. Like your outs are very tricky to play on the river still. You're out of position as well, so by betting you take away the positional advantage a little bit. So I feel like I'm pot calling here.
Yeah. It's probably what he'll go for. Oh,
They'll check. Okay.
spicy check.
Very surprised that
What's
Omaha
he
checked.
hoping for here though? Like, because if you face a bet now, do you really check shove? You know, probably not, right?
He's not folding.
You
He's
you
not
probably
folding.
call. Does COHIBA have something? He does. He pots it, and overalls is going to find the check jam on turn.
Wow.
Very interesting. I don't know if COHIBA is really that tempted to take this line with, let's say he has dry ace-3, right? He calls the check raise on the flop. Omaha for rolls checks on the turn, and COHIBA's like, okay, you know, I can now protect my hand if I want. I don't really see him, if he's making that decision with ace-3, potting. I just can't see that. Like,
Yeah,
potting
no,
is like a hand that is pushing equity, or maybe some sort of combo draw that's like bet calling. I don't know why overalls decides to shove. Like, did he just think his
theory,
You tell.
in theory, it's great because COHIBA still has folds, and then in practice, I don't see COHIBA pot folding too often. And even if he has like a weaker hand, he's just gonna go with it against the martial rolls on this kind of board. So yeah, I don't know. I think potting the turn would outperform in this line, but yeah.
Yeah, because like say COHIBA's sitting there with ace-3 and faces a turn pot barrel. Like, if he doesn't have anything else going with it, which it's easy not to do when you've limped pre-flop, it's not a very good spot. So yeah, interesting. I guess we'll see what happens there. Does not fold. He's got, yeah, so he's got 3 pair with nut diamonds. But like any ace-x of diamonds hand, he could easily pot and is obviously never folding. I don't think it's that crazy for COHIBA to have potted even a single pair with like a straight draw.
I think he's checking back his ace-3 here on the turn, COHIBA.
If it's dry, right? It's. I mean, if he bets, he's certainly not going to pot it. So that's why I question overall's jam, because what do you really fold him off that wants to pot the turn? Like, I don't know, I guess a hand like ace with a king of spades and a pocket pair. But does that really call the check raise? Like ace king 4-4 with the king of spades? Would you call a check raise on the flop?
Yeah, and also check calling doesn't seem too appealing, so I guess for that reason, just putting yourself on the turn is nicer.
Yeah. Interesting one. Let's see if he runs good. He doesn't run too good. But based on the stack, I mean, COHIBA looking like he's having a fine day on whatever day this was played.
Right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I remember Phil Ivey on Full Tilt Poker. He used to always, like, if he lost 1 buy-in, he would quit. And then if he did, like, if he was up like 10 buy-ins, he keeps playing. He would just play until they decided to quit. But if he ever lost like 1 or 2 buy-ins, that was him done. He would just quit. And I always
very
thought maybe
tilting.
that's the secret to success, you know?
That's very tilting if you play someone with that strategy.
Yeah, imagine your Opa rolls, right? The COHIBA sits down with a dirty 40 grand on you at some point, and he's going to run that up to 500k. That's
It's so
tilting.
painful.
Actually, no, this is 40 BB at 501k. The stakes have changed here. So I guess they were mixing up a little bit what they were playing. And apparently we don't see anyone's cards. I guess this is some sort of mistake got made with this. And it's
Maybe
the
we see
same
them
here.
showdown.
Okay, so unfortunately the guy didn't produce that properly, but that's all right. Oh my god, all this one? No whole cards? Oh no, we're good. You see, this feels more like the Omaha for rolls I know. He's gonna raise this hand where maybe I would limp. They're less, yeah, they're less than 100 BB deep.
Yeah, it's a nice anti-limp.
Yeah. And 2 gut shots, Dirk. Any interest in a check? How do you feel about spots like this? Where
Historically I would always bet them because I feel like it's incredible to generate a fold with king high, and then you have 2 ways to make the nuts. But I think solver likes to check back, to sometimes check them back. So yeah, I would probably bet it half the time, something like that.
do you play with an RNG, Dirk, or do you just choose whenever you want to do something?
No, I don't RNG, but I just use my cards to like roughly hit certain thresholds.
So you
whenever I feel
do you
like,
have a favorite suit, Dirk? Are you going old school?
yeah, I have a favorite suit,
You
which is
don't
hard.
have to reveal that. Ah, okay.
No, no, it's hard. I can reveal it because at some point, it's a funny story. My the guy that puts together my videos, he's messaging me privately, and he's like, "You know that you always do your low frequency bluff on a hard, right? Like, I think everyone can see it on the stream." I'm like, "Oh, you're seeing all the material, so probably not everyone, but I'll definitely swap them around now because I was always using hearts."
Ah, that's
So
funny.
yeah, very very exploitable, but the hearts was my favorite, and now I try to switch them up every day.
Ah, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, he
key.
gets check raised too. So I mean, you got a call, I guess. These spots are like kind of the reason why you almost hate to bet these like dry open ender type of draws. The upside of this
Yeah,
hand is that the bottom straight draw is super disguised, which is nice. But you don't really
yeah.
like getting check raised here. Like it's not great because sometimes one of your straights is dead. But yeah, what can you do?
What do you mean? One of your straights is dead?
Like dead to a chop, you know? Like you can get
Oh,
free
yeah,
rolled
yeah, yeah.
in these spots
Yeah, if you
sometimes.
have an opponent, like look at the SPR right now. If you have an opponent that can apply a lot of pressure on you, now you're just wasting a lot of equity if you always bet him,
Yeah.
and he puts you in on the turn.
Yeah, but overall, so that's why I was so shocked when he limped the other kings, because he usually he plays like a bet heavy strategy. From my experience, he's always betting. His C bet's really high. His C bet's a lot of trash. Okay, so he's going to turn a big card here. And he's going to have to flat call a pop bet. No, it doesn't come in. Very interesting spot.
I think seems
I
very
think
attractive.
you got to just take your opportunity here, Dirk.
Yeah.
Is that how you feel and go for this pot? But do you have to bet big? You know, your opponent is a little bit polar here, like a check raise check. They're not going to have too many hands that have turned a lot of equity, right? With a low SPR like this. So it feels like you might even be able to get away with smaller stabbing, although this hand obviously would rather just pot, you know? And
it's very hard to have enough bluffs in position. It's something almost every poker player struggles with. So this is pretty much the perfect hand where we're king high. Even if we get called or he shoves, we can get our hand in. It's a good question about the sizing. It's very tough. Maybe you want to have different sizing, but in general, when you're betting in position, you want to bet big because you're reopening the action. So I would think that most of the time you use a big sizing here, so somewhere between 75% or pot bet. I would just pot his hand, maximize the fold equity, and go with it if my opponent shows.
yeah, it's an interesting spot. Like I'm just thinking because I would never raise on flop ever. So we just have like all aces or queens. And it's tempting, like when you have these hands, like I don't want to pot, right? Like I'm not really scared that my opponent
It's
has
funny that you
check
might
raised and
re-raise.
turned a draw here and
I would
checked.
definitely raise flops sometimes.
Are you would 3-bet the flop in this spot?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We're the ones opening, and he's representing a hand that he doesn't have that often. You can definitely click it back every now and then there.
Okay. I guess, yeah, I'm just more basic. I try and defend my range when I'm not sure. But like, sometimes you look in solver and it's like 3-betting flop like 10%, and I'm 3-betting it 0%. So it's not too good. But yeah. So I don't know. I would feel like, personally, I would just size down because I don't really care. And if he shoves, you also don't really care. And if he calls, it's interesting, and I would just bluff, even though we might not have the best, the King Jack of Hearts might not be perfect river bluff cards on a brick. Just against the check call check line on a brick, I would love to jam. It would feel good with any hand in my range. Also, like he should donk on a heart, and yeah, so I don't mind the smaller sizing here, because his line is very polar anyway. Check raise check, on a brick. So curious what happens. I think overalls will pot it. That's what he does. COHIBA was trapping, I guess.
Okay.
Or at least I'm choosing to go broke with ace queen in a different way than just barreling. Ace queen with hearts, maybe? Yeah, he does have that. And he has the dead, he was dead on the straight draw as well.
Crazy.
So overall, it's not the best c-bet ever when you have a dead gut shot, like a single gut shot, only calling a large raise. So
yeah, super well played by COHIBA. Run it twice.
yeah, I guess it's kind of obvious on the turn though, right? To check. Like specifically Queen of Hearts, Ace of Hearts.
Kind of obvious, of course, but still, it's very tempting to bet because you're pushing so much equity. So, yeah, I like his check, but always tempting to bet, especially against a passive opponent. Like checking those hands, and you have someone who fails to find his bluffs in position, then it becomes a bit tricky. But yeah,
Yeah,
against
with
Omaha,
overalls on the other side of the
I feel
table, you're
comfortable
not too
checking
worried.
against overalls. Yeah.
Okay, limit pot. I actually quite enjoy the limit pots because I know that we're more likely to see some heavy action and more interesting stuff going on. I mean, he's just flopped a pretty good fucking hand. Just, you have to raise, surely. With this, yeah, he does. What is the turn? It's a brick. I guess he's just piling it in. COHIBA jamming. Okay, could be bad news. Could just be some 3-pair hand.
Very strong.
10 on the river. Who do you think wins?
I think COHIBA, because I don't know, he's done so much. He's done with backup. If you're shoving against that line, you're so strong. But yeah, could be Omar rolls too, of course. It's a full house.
I've actually seen this one already, just coincidentally. So curious what your guess is. What do you think here about a call or a jam on the turn? I mean, obviously his ace does block his opponent from having value. There are 2 flush draws on the board. He does have a wrap and a live flush draw sometimes, etc. But it is a tough decision, right? Like if we flash back to the turn, he could just call, but then he's going to have very tough rivers to play on bricks, right? And he decides to take the thought process out of that and put in 40,000 more.
I'm not sure if he's trying to take the thought process out of it. I just think that he thinks his hand falls into the shoving category better than calling and making sure to bluff, or it's not really a bluff, but to shove these hands makes it so that Omar rolls cannot make any hero faults on the turn there. So I think he's adding a hand to his shoving range there that's not necessarily super good. He thinks for equity realization it's going to be roughly equal, and then whenever he does have a super strong hand,
he's giving more reasons for his opponent to pay him off with like ace 6 or something. Yeah, that's a cool thought. I never thought about that. I just I imagine that these hands, they like to call in Solverland and just have extremely tough river decisions sometimes.
I think a hand like ace 7, 8, 9 or something, he would always call, and then it's just way better to navigate rivers. But when you're on like on the Mexican side of the straight
Yeah.
and fresh, then
yeah, and he might also be thinking that he's unblocking like the 7, 8 of hearts kind of hands that can shove. This kind of stuff. And he could have them beat and they can't fold, obviously. That's an interesting turn shot. Okay, that's a pretty good hand. Would you 4-ball this pre, Dirk? Is this like off 100 BB? Is this 4-ball worthy? Or is it a little bit too spewy?
I think hands like queen, queen, jack 10, double suited, you can 4-ball them. We're short now, so I
Are they
would mind
short?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
40 BB, so
Off this
it's
stack, I
totally
guess you
fine.
would shove it in then, right?
Probably limp-raising this hand, super attractive as
Oh,
well.
that's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, that's a nice one. Omaha for us never fucking doing that, mate. Not with a good hand. Surely not. Limp-raise, dusty kings only. Okay, c-bet, no raise. Oh, king on turn. Spicy. How many streets of value do you think Omaha for rolls is going to go for here? And maybe we'll start with, how do you think you would want to approach this spot?
So it's funny because if you have aces in the spot, you're blocking his hero calls, and then when you have queens, you're unblocking his hero calls, which is kind of nice. So if you look at how you want to bet with aces, you probably want to put aces in a smaller betting category and then queens in the bigger one. I'm sure that Omar Rolls finds enough aggression on these kind of boards where he could get paid with queens for 3 straight. So yeah, I'm just betting twice, rather beefy probably. Gets a little bit tricky though if you size up a lot, then you just leave your opponent with better hands. But yeah.
These spots, I think these are some of the most complicated spots in PLO
I think
from
you
like a
can bet
beginner
25%.
study standpoint. Like I
I think
never
you can
really
bet
studied
25%
them.
on the turn here and then pot the river, and COHIBA might still find some calls with worse hands. Like ace jack jack comes to mind. Ace 10 hands like
These
that.
3-bet pre-flop quite a lot though. But like if he has like 9-9 ace, you know, maybe he's calling. He might even call down like ace queen, you know, 3-3 and shit like that.
He has to against the Marfrols for sure. Yeah.
So pretty interesting spot though. Yeah, I agree. I think overalls will continue. He wants to at least threaten to go for 3. And honestly, I think he does just go for 3, right?
Yeah.
In fact,
Actually,
queens is kind of better than aces in some ways. The only downside is that, you know, you block your opponent having queens. That's the only downside. But you do block him having a king a bit, which is a concern when you have like a high overpair in these spots.
Yeah, it's sad. I remember seeing this hand. So
okay.
I know what's gonna happen, but
okay. What sizing do you like in general though in these spots? Do you try and just pot and like give enough bluffs? Like, because this is a merge, you know, you can't just go pot 3 streets, right, with this hand, you know?
He went quite big on the turn, so it's a bit dicey on the river already. Like, so probably 50% or small on the turn and then pot on the river. I don't know. I would expect him to pot here, but or go big. Yeah.
Very manly. And yeah, I think, yeah, that's right. Actually, I saw this too. I saw that, I remember COHIBA jams and overalls doesn't fold. What I can't remember is if COHIBA finds something to turn into a bluff here. Because let's just pause for a second, Dirk. If you were to bluff in this spot, how would you select a hand to bluff with? Like, I have a few things that come to mind, but I'm curious what you think about this.
Yeah, you want to block his calling range, so having an ace is good.
Oh, interesting.
Having a queen might be good.
I was actually going to say the opposite, funnily enough. I was going to say having an ace is bad. Because I want him to be value betting aces, and he shouldn't call the jam. Would be my feeling. Like, obviously, he's just called with queens. But queens might be better than aces to call with.
Well, his pure bloods are going to come from hands without an ace, right? Most of them he takes to showdown. So
I think overalls still bluffs with an ace in his hand, though. Because he wants to hold an ace so that you don't have an ace with a pocket pair and call, you know? So it's I don't know though. These spots are fucking weird, man.
And then how do you want to turn it into a bluff? Because then you have a hand that you can potentially call, right? So it's become such a crazy.
Yeah. I use the Hold'em logic here, even though it doesn't really matter too much combinatorically. I would say, okay, if I have hearts, I'm gonna turn that into a bluff. So say I had like jacks or tens, no ace, and 2 hearts in my hand, I'd probably spew jam those. Because at least then you block more kings that raise preflop, because he did raise preflop, right? Yeah, he did. And not having an ace, maybe he bet folds AA. Or maybe he's bluffing and has an ace in his hand to block me from calling, you know? Something along these lines.
If you take a step back and theory-wise, like his raise is not that big,
No,
so he
it's
can barely
small.
bluff here anyway.
Exactly. So that's the question. When you're bluffing not much, how do you choose them? You know, it's
So
super tricky.
You flip a coin behind your desk, and then whenever it doesn't land on heads or tails, but in the middle, that's when you just go berserk with your jacks or something.
Yeah. Is he bluffing here? I can't remember the result of the hand. Does he just have it? He does. Okay. That's it. You got to feel good as COHIBA when like you're playing a guy, you actually stack him in this situation. Like if me or you were playing a guy in ring and they have this hand, it's like you're lucky if you get 2 streets of value out of quads, you know?
Yeah.
It's such a nit fest, but when you're playing against a
Yeah.
sicko like O for rolls and you can get the whole stack, obviously it's nice this
People-
time, and it
people
feels
don't
bad
know.
when he's tripling you off when you have random 10s in the other instances.
Exactly. People don't know how to find enough bluffs on the boards like these in general.
Yeah, but overall, a respect bet call. I mean, better than aces, Dirk, for a river call. Thoughts?
What do you mean?
His pair of queens. Do you think it's better than a pair of aces?
It's very tough. Like you have to defend a big part of your value range already. So surely you're calling all your kings and aces, and then queens at a very high frequency probably. Maybe you fold it sometimes, but I feel like it's mostly a call. How crazy it sounds because people in general don't find enough bluffs here, but theory wise you cannot fold too much here.
Yeah, it's a tough one. These spots are always trips boards are always interesting. Every time.
Yeah, interesting and also not so interesting because they don't happen that often. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Does overalls punish pre-flop here? Thoughts?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
the end of our session. Okay, thank you.
Oh, he gets a limp-raise. He's got to be tilting. He's got to be tilting. And
Yeah,
what do you think he's going to do? Just like ship it in? Nah, he probably traps the flop, right? I think when you flop top pair here, do you think it's good enough for a trap with this low SPR and just hope your opponent has like ace jack jack or whatever else?
Ace 10 or ace jack jack are hands that come to mind. But are still gonna call probably against a shove. So yeah, I mean, I don't think you get to shove this flop too often, but I think it's close anyway. Which decision you take?
He does check. COHIBA gives it to him. Who has the best hand though? I think COHIBA will just have aces. His due. Oh, ace, ace, ace. Nice hand, mate. Ooh, running good as well.
Yeah.
Must be nice. Any thoughts on this? I guess just fully standard from COHIBA, the Limp-raise off the 40 BB.
I'm not sure. Like if whenever I see COHIBA doing something, it's probably solver approved. I think I would prefer to raise my triple aces and build a bigger pot because it doesn't play that nice post flop. But yeah, if he does it, it's probably the right move.
Yeah, I mean, all the stack depths change so much when it comes to what aces you want to limp and whatnot.
It's interesting because the king queen jack forehand becomes very tricky against the limp re-raising range. I don't think it's necessarily super standard to call there, but I would to look into it. Like if COHIBA is limp re-raising in a very balanced manner, then he's gonna have some like double suited stuff which you do very well against. But if he doesn't, then you're gonna be up against aces, kings, and some double suited queens. And you do pretty terrible against those hands. But it's for sure not a bad play, but could be closer than
I think Omaha for rolls probably has one of the lowest fold to 3 bets of any player that plays this game.
I don't think he likes to fold there now. So
yeah, it would shock me to see him raise. I would have so much respect if he found a raise fold pre-flop. That would be truly impressive. Okay, now this hand, yeah, I actually know this hand because you're only going to get to see one set of hole cards here. And the crux of the interesting decision is going to come on the turn. So we're Omaha for rolls. We have turned an open-ended straight draw with our bottom pair, We also hold a queen, so blocking like some ace queen 10 type of deal. What do you think about bet or check in this 30k pot, so SPR something around 6?
I think I'm checking here most of the time.
Okay.
I think I like to bet more with, yeah, I don't know, with having an ace in my hand, but then also you want to have him have a one pair of ace kind of hand to fold. I don't dislike it, but if you do it always on the turn, then of course you're gonna get super wrecked by COHIBA. But if you do it at a certain frequency, it's probably fine.
Yeah, well, you certainly have to be worried about COHIBA having a GTO turn raising frequency. So it's sad to get blasted off your open-ended straight draw for sure. But I personally would just auto bluff this because it's so juicy for value on the rivers that you hit. They're so clean. Your opponent can just never have it, you know? And you have all these strong hands, and it's super nice. Plus, like, we can just bluff river on a jack or a 10.
It's hard to have enough turn, like, quote unquote, bluffs that I don't mind putting this hand there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a close
But
one.
when
I was
I'm doing it with
surprised.
6-8, it seems like relatively the same. So would you rather have this hand or just a naked 6-8?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like the 5, some ace 5 should fold to a turn barrel, you know? Like ace 5, 10, 9 or whatever. Like it's not too golden against a turn bet. I mean, would you fold ace 5, 10, 9 actually? I would personally fold to a pot barrel with ace 5, 10, 9, like a dead ace 5. Ace 5
I
deuce
don't
deuce
think
3 3.
I don't think you're supposed to fold it against the solver.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's one that considers a river fold, but I'm not sure how to feel about the 5. In general, I like having the pair blocker. So I would just blast, especially because bottom set doesn't always play aggressively in these boards. So I like this hand for a barrel, but he's going to go and check it. And then he's going to hit the river. And his opponent will bet kind of, I guess this is also just worth talking about. It's not too interesting because he's up against the nuts, but how do you feel about these lines when your opponent somewhat caps himself with a turn check back in position? And you have the choice, okay, I could block bet and be very annoying. Like maybe I could even value bet ace queen here. And just to annoy my opponent, there's not much he can do. Like, is he going to start raising ace 9? I can 3-bet the river. You know, you can open up the action in a different way. Or you can just bet large yourself. You can say, okay, you're really capped. Like a lot of the time, the best hand in your range is like a river 2-pair. I'm going to pot, you know, and you might turn some hands into a bluff because your opponent is quite capped, and the best hand they can have is you know, river 2-pair with a 9. Obviously, sometimes they can have a straight or a rivered set or whatever, but most of the time, the best hand they can have after a turn check back will be 2-pair on the river. So how
But
do you approach this?
you said block bet with ace queen.
You would never peel that off. I don't mind it, but I would probably not bet third if I was gonna block bet ace queen.
Yeah, I think you've been watching too much Hold'em content. It's very, very thin ace queen.
Yeah, but
I do,
it's kind of interesting too. It's like a price setting bet. I personally I mean, I guess we haven't played too much for a while, but I was doing some plays like this with hands like that just to be annoying. Like when people cap themselves, just to kind of figure out what they're gonna do.
yeah, it's funny. It's a bit of a game of chicken as well. Like, do you never raise here, or do you raise here with your weak 2 pairs? Because clearly he doesn't have a strong 2-pair here. But yeah, I don't know. Very
What do
interesting
you do
sport.
normally in these spots, Dirk? Do you bet larger or do you like the smaller sizing, or where do you end up? Do you use both?
Yeah, I mix it up. So I would put a lot of pressure with my bluffs. So I would prefer a bigger size for my bluffs. And then with my strong hands, I would mostly bet them big and then sometimes small. And then a ton of like weak 2 pairs, I would bet small as well.
Yeah, fair. I mean, to be honest, like I don't know if I'd actually bet ace queen on this board. But if it was like some random paired board or, you know, something like that, I do block bet those kind of hands. But yeah, this is probably a bit too spastic. Anyway, COHIBA has some kind of hand that can pay off a raise. So we don't know what it was. But it obviously wasn't very shit.
Yeah, probably like a 2-pair with a 6 or an 8
Probably.
comes to mind as a
Probably
good.
exactly what he had. Okay, we have one more hand apparently.
Okay, let's see. It's so crazy that these guys are battling it out at the highest stakes.
Yeah,
possible.
what do you think that they're thinking? I mean, COHIBA, I assume that he's thinking, okay, I can get this guy. Like it's worth it for me. It's a lot of EV, the stakes are big. Because COHIBA, like if he wanted to try and battle Omaha for rolls, he could sit him at 200, 400 or whatever every day, and then maybe over rolls quits. But he
Mhm.
chooses to only play like at the absolute max stakes. That's quite an
Yeah,
interesting thing, don't you think?
I mean, he probably thinks he has a quite a decent edge on him. He's paying some rake as well, so he has to consider himself a big winner to make it worth it for himself in these games. I mean, for sure, COHIBA is very, very well studied, especially for the big blinds. And I think Omar Feroz is he's just the end boss for a reason, but the reason not being in the solve all the time. Um, so yeah, that might be something where COHIBA feels like he can manage a big edge, especially short stacked, where the mistakes pre-flop can add up quite quickly.
What do you
I mean,
think
it's super exciting.
Laszlo feels here, though? Like, does he know that that's what his opponent's mindset is coming in and just not give a fuck? Like, what do you think he's feeling about this match in general? Sitting a guy who sits with 40 BB each time, kind of annoying you, right?
Yeah, no, it's super annoying, and I mean, having the table is worth a lot as well, right? So, if he does show willingness to play, maybe the end result is him losing a little bit of money in the short term over being able to hold the lobby long term.
True.
So that's
Yeah.
that's a bit of a hidden value. But yeah, it's surely he doesn't really enjoy playing COHIBA, or at least I would not think that he enjoys playing.
He probably has a great time actually playing, but he might be thinking, this isn't the best spot
He
I've
loves to
ever
play.
been in.
I think that I retract what I just said. Omar Frost fucking loves to play
He
poker
does, yeah.
against anyone, but he probably prefers to play against people that throw around money a little bit more loosely than COHIBA seems to throw it around, I would think.
And here he goes anyway. He's got top two. As a potential c-better here. And Dirk, how do you feel about the old top two check back on boards like this? Like you said that you like to make more decisions with side cards and other things like that than using an RNG. How would you
Yeah,
decide for whether or not you wanted to check back a queen nine on this board? Maybe you give me an example of a queen nine that you'd be happy to check back here.
yeah. This one is a great candidate where we have zero backup. Um, um, So it's not like it's very likely that we see a turn and a river that's not going to change the nets on the board. So whenever we look for a combination that we want to check back, it's the weaker parts of our top two pairs. So this one would be a great one to check back at a certain frequency. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to RNG a bit, but when I see this hand, I'm very
Mm-hmm.
tempted to throw it into the check back because sure, like we could have queen nine, four deuce, or 4-5 or something like that, which is arguably worse. But this hand is queen of spades, jack. Like tell me a turn where I'm scared now. An ace, I
Yeah, yeah,
guess. Like an ace kind of sucks. But the king, the 10, the 8, these don't do as much damage anymore. Like when we check back a spade, I don't care. I could call two with this hand now.
yeah, yeah.
So
It's
it's a fun
it has
hand to check
great
back.
hero calling qualities as well. So I like this hand.
And also the line of checking back and then on a brick raising pot. I also love this line. It's so annoying, because a lot of people will try to attack capped ranges, like by potting like lighter, like even bottom two and stuff on the turn. You can really punish them. So he's going to go for a c-bet. That's more true to his form. He's going to get check raised. So when I'm this guy and I've c-bet this hand and I get check raised, I'm always thinking, man, did you have to fucking c-bet this hand? Did I really have to c-bet this fucking hand? I'm like
Yeah,
min
no,
tilted, just like visualizing the pocket threes, at this point in the hand. But obviously we're not going to fold. So cool. We find a brick, but it's not really a brick. It could be like an absolutely terrible card because now we have more reason to get it all in with our queen nine. But do you think there's any chance that you could fold dry queen nine here? I mean, it's a pretty bad queen nine. We even have a low diamond. We even have a jack. There's some reasons that this queen nine is quite bad, right? But like, is it
yeah,
foldable?
you can't fold it at this SPR against a capable opponent.
1.5-ish SPR.
Yeah,
Against
I
a
don't think
capable
so.
opponent, it feels too tough to fold, right? So he gets it in. Does the opponent have the pocket threes? It does. Yeah, he actually does have the pocket threes. And, oh, it's okay, though. You just bink. That's no problem.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh! He runs it
That's
twice and binks it twice. I forgot the replayer had run. Wait, hold on. Why are they running it twice now? What happened? Overall's changed his mind. He ran it once and won the pot, and then he said, "You know what? We can run it twice now." And then he won them both.
Yeah,
That's quite
must be
sick,
so
bro.
painful to lose a hand like that.
That's quite sick. Yeah, man. Anyway, Dirk, thanks for joining me on this random conversation about not the most interesting hands ever, but certainly some large pots.
Yeah, no worries. It's super cool to see two of the best in the world battling it out at the highest stakes. So